Welcome to the Innovators and Investors Podcast. I'm Kristian Marquez, founder and CEO of Finstrat Management. At Finstrat, we provide CFO-led accounting, finance, and reporting services to assist clients monetize their business. Stick around to the end of the podcast, and I'll share how you can be our next guest. Now, on to the show. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Innovators and Investors Podcast. I'm your host, Kristian Marquez, founder and CEO of Finstrat Management. Really excited because with us today we have Todd Smith. Todd is a co-founder and CEO of OpnBook. Todd, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kristian. Thrilled to be here.
Oh, our pleasure. So why don't we get started with OpnBook? Would love to know what problem it's solving in the marketplace.
Yes, so OpnBook has a product called TAHO, and TAHO is our software infrastructure that we provide for data centers and high-performance compute solutions. And the problem that we're solving today is the thirst and the insatiable needs for hardware in high-performance compute. We see a lot of those hardware manufacturers of GPU and other data center hardware just blazing a trail today. We're really happy that they're building better solutions, but the reality is they can't keep up with high performance computing needs today. So we're solving that through the infrastructure layer in the software stack for high performance compute.
Okay. And TAHO, acronym TAHO?
Yes, it is Trusted Autonomous Hybrid Operations System. So we call it TAHO for short, and it's a product that we're extremely proud of. There's quite a bit of IP there that we're a bit cagey about, but rest assured, it's a great solution that leverages a lot of new tech and really aims at complementing and in some cases helping to better any environments that may be using Kubernetes today. Maybe they're using Slurm, maybe they're even using some of the newer things like Llama CPP wrapped in an Nginx framework. So, but any and all of those we aim to help out with. So whether it's a cloud solution, a cloud computing solution in the cloud infrastructure, or if it's on-prem or edge, our solution helps all of those. So that's what we're looking to do now.
Fantastic. And what was the genesis behind TAHO?
Yes. So I think it's kind of a normal story for a lot of founders. We actually set out to solve a completely different problem. And we originally built another product entirely when we founded the company back in May of last year. And we had built a BI tool that provided analytics and metrics on the usage of AI across an entire company. So we would be able to provide all of the companies that sprinted to bring AI solutions into their environments over the last 3 years of developing an AI strategy. They got to a point where, hey, they've got a lot of solutions in their environment, but they really didn't know what those AI solutions were doing for their business. We built a BI tool that provided analytics to everyone about what the AI was doing in their realm, in their environments. And we were able to even generate return on investment data for them. However, we wanted to do so in their environment. We didn't want to build a SaaS solution because we didn't want to slurp up all that IP. We didn't want to slurp up all of that data that they were generating in their environments. So we wanted to land that BI tool in their environment, in their data stack, in their data warehouse, and generate all of those tables in that environment. In doing so, it proved to be extremely costly to have all of that compute occurring in your customers' environments, while making while dropping that into their environment and understanding that we were on the precipice of really, negatively impacting their cost models for their data environments. We decided that we wanted to build an infrastructure layer that helped make that a bit more digestible for everybody. Interestingly, we built that really efficient infrastructure layer, but when we looked at it, when you consider the background of our CTO and the different hyperscale environments he's managed over time, myself, the different hyperscale environments that I've had the privilege of managing over my tenure in the different places I've worked, we identified quickly that this infrastructure software that we had built had far, far more business potential beyond the BI tool that we built. So we decided to table the BI tool for the time being and really focus on number one, getting the patenting process underway with this product starting back in October. And today we've productized this and we're actually getting ready to land the MVP at the end of this month. So we now have this infrastructure product that was born of needs from a previous product that we had worked on, but we feel as though we have the opportunity to really provide a lot of companies out there the ability to scale their high performance compute capabilities, whether it's in AR, VR, and gaming, whether it's in social media, video streaming, AI model vendors, and the like. All of those high performance computing companies would be able to leverage this product, this TAHO, the software infrastructure product, in order to really unleash the capabilities of their existing hardware without having to go get new hardware or even build new data stores, new data centers, or even building new power or energy resources to fuel all of those. So that's why we pivoted.
A whole bunch of questions. I think that as a starting point, it'd be great just to talk about market demand. You hear a lot of stories of how, artificial intelligence is consuming energy, lots of it, to the point that electricity is becoming, or the access to electricity is becoming a rate limiting step. Can you give us any sense, or what sense can you give us as to, how TAHO is addressing that gap?
Yeah. So in the spirit, even in the name of TAHO, we are environmentally friendly people. We all have an appreciation for the environment, and we wanted to aim this product at basically serving the environmental community as well as serving the high performance compute space. And to that end, it really does come down to resource management. What it comes down to is, hey, there is not enough energy to serve the needs of high performance compute today. It's no secret that Google, Meta, Microsoft, even Amazon, they're all making major plays in the energy sector so that they can fuel tomorrow's data centers. And what when we were looking at the compute stack on the whole, and really the fact that everybody's just throwing hardware at the problem, and we identify the fact that, hey, look, all of that hardware and the shortfalls in energy today, they really need not only, I want to be careful on how I state this because I want to be accurate. They we know that they need more energy. We know that they need these additional power resources, these additional energy resources built. And instead of just standing on the sideline and just watching this all occur, we really identified that there's still opportunities to maximize the potential of existing infrastructures. Trying to answer your question here, but I'm going off on a slight tangent. The reality is that the majority of infrastructures today are always on. Okay, it's the entire hardware infrastructure in a data center, in a high performance compute data center, especially, they're always in a running state. Where so much so that we actually measure the size of these facilities by their power consumption. So you hear about 5 megawatt data center facilities, 300 megawatt data center facilities. And that really refers to the hourly consumption, energy consumption of that entire facility. The reason I state that is there's a reality in today's environment. And that reality is that all hardware infrastructure software leverages orchestration tooling, and it also leverages scheduling tooling. that orchestration and scheduling tooling basically stands at the gate, at the entry point of those data center facilities, stating, hey, workloads, wait here while I go and get you a GPU stack, a hardware stack to work in. And then it turns around and waits for a GPU or hardware stack to complete a job. Once it finishes that workload or that job, it goes ahead and ships it back off to its point of origin. And then it opens the gate to let the next workload come in to that specific GPU stack. What we're doing today is we're basically seeing the milliseconds of we're looking at the milliseconds of idle state in those GPU stacks, because while they're waiting for things to do, there's milliseconds of idle state. And if you total out those milliseconds of idle state to days, weeks, months, and into the year, you find that that entire compute stack in that whole facility on average is really only being used approximately 54% of the time, meaning about 40% of the time, all of that hardware is sitting in an idle state. What we've done is developed a software platform for all of that infrastructure that optimizes for that entire stack. We decrease the size of the workloads from gigabytes to megabytes. And what we enable is to increase the workload density of all of the hardware existing in that stack. That really unleashes a lot of the compute capabilities in these high performance compute facilities. And that's where we start to tap into the real true capabilities of the existing hardware stacks, which then, now I'm going back to answering your question. If we can get more out of the existing hardware stacks today, if we can increase the capabilities of those hardware stacks, we diminish the need for additional energy into the future. The reality is, whether you have an older stack, or if you have even maybe the newest, NVIDIA's newest H100s in your environment, regardless of what they are, they're being choked out a little bit by these old world or these legacy orchestration and scheduling layers. And what we do is we actually unleash that capability of any and all hardware in the environment to, again, relieve some of that energy challenge that we find ourselves in today. We also enable a lot of the technologies that are out there today, whether they're a major AI vendor or maybe they're a smaller AI model house. We're trying to get them more capability to serve more people. And at the end of the day, it's decreasing the amount of cooling resources that are needed, the number of energy resources that are needed. And it also increases the accessibility of better AI for everyone today. So that's a corner of what we're doing, but that's how we impact that world of resourcing. So, and again, we lean into being a more environmentally friendly solution at the end of the day. And we're trying to do that through software.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, it makes complete and total sense that you can create a positive ROI by facilitating efficiency. And if I understood correctly, it's using the promise of software to better load balance the resources in those server centers, so that you can reduce the amount of consumptions that's necessary to run the center. I get it right?
Yep, perfectly stated.
Awesome. One of the things you mentioned was the pivot from the BI tool to the infrastructure layer. I'd love to know if there was a catalyst that prompted the change, and then just what the conversation was like inside OpnBook as you made the switch.
Yeah. So that's not an easy thing to do. so I do find that as I speak with other founders, it's a bit more of a normalized story than I had originally thought. But when we first encountered it, I kind of felt like we were one of one at that moment. And because we had spent a lot of time, research, development hours in building out the BI tool.
Right.
in building out that BI tool, and it works just fine. It's a great tool, and it's without deep diving into it too much, it really did provide some interesting information for our customers. However, the decision factors came down to a few things. Number one, when it comes to selling another BI tool, basically you're asking for customers to spend more money to provide them the analysis that may give them an edge, may or may not give them an edge, depending upon how well they could use that information, right?
Right.
So there's a little bit of an uphill sell there. Number two, when it comes to supporting a tool like that, that tool is providing analytics on everyone in the environment. So if you have a 5,000 person company that you've sold into, you got 5,000 users you're going to have to support, right?
Right.
So that was also, we weren't scared of that, but it was a factor.
Sure.
And number three, it's a product that has impact on bottom line, doesn't necessarily have top line impact, right? So, the fact that it was a BI tool you pay for, don't know if your customers can necessarily use that data extremely well. So there's an education ramp there that you'd have to help them through. Number two, the number of users, you have 100% saturation in any environment that you're in. And then number three, the fact that it's a bottom line contributor. It's a good tool and there's good business rationale for it. We built a company around it and built a great tool around it. However, when you compared it to the potential impact of TAHO, which is our the infrastructure software solution, there's a much broader customer set out there. It's definitely a much hotter topic today when you start hearing about the lack of high performance compute capabilities from a hardware perspective and how it's really constraining a lot of major technologies today, including AI. And then when you also look at it from a perspective that when you landed in that same 5,000 person company, we really only have to support maybe 12 users in the environment because it's just those infrastructure engineers that you're really serving directly. There's just a lot of core pieces here that really point towards, hey, there's a bigger customer set here. There's more impact to be had, but there's also it's a bit easier on the user on that user support front. There was just all of those different pieces, and then when I go back to that third point, which is, hey, the BI tool is a bottom line driver, whereas when you provide more compute capabilities to a company, that's a productivity and top line driver. It can be a bottom line driver because it can drive for efficiencies on those infrastructure cost centers. But when you think about the ability for some of these companies to ship product that they don't currently have the hardware to execute, boy, now all of a sudden you're opening revenue potential for these companies, and that's a totally different story. So on those three dimensions, number one, just the breadth of the problem, the scope of the problem is number one. Number two being the total number of users that you have to support, and then number three, having a top line impacting product rather than a bottom line impacting product. It just made more business sense for us to lean into this tech. So that's why we leaned into TAHO and deprecated the BI tool.
Makes complete sense. You mentioned earlier getting patents on your IP. If you can share with us what your, the decision, a lot of founders won't pursue, ensuring that they can secure their intellectual property, and then just what the process has been like, that other founders can take into consideration if they want to pursue a similar path.
You bet. From a decision factor, the reason we leaned into we never executed any patents on the BI tool, and there was some really cool tech there, but we never bothered to execute any patents on it because it just didn't feel as though anybody was really going to chase us there. this realm, in the infrastructure software realm, we do think that there's a lot of we do think that it's the kind of tech that once you get some deep discovery by some big players, they could really outflank you on the technical development front. So we wanted to get some protection there. We also wanted to get some protection for when we were speaking with investors. We wanted to be able to be unguarded in those conversations. Now, we are matriculating towards a utility patent, meaning we don't have a fully completed patent. We're in a patent pending state with a provisional patent, which means we've applied for it and we've provided a full package of information that currently exists to help define our ownership of that IP. So the rationale for executing it was, twofold. Number one, to give us the freedom to speak with investors. Number two, to give ourselves a little bit of protection when landing our product in bigger environments. We could go after a larger customer base that has pretty intense development resources. So it was for those reasons that we decided to protect this one. From a process perspective, this is my first time ever applying for a patent. I am lucky because our CTO has gone this path before with other outfits, and we also have a developer that spent multiple years with a major business firm in their R&D division, and has executed quite a few patents in that time as well. So we had some experience working here on our payroll, which is fantastic. In addition to that, we also engaged a great great legal firm, patenting legal firm that's also been kind of ushering the way. Lastly, we went and got ourselves an advisor, a third-party advisor, to kind of help us navigate this as well. And I would, quite frankly, all 3 points, both our internal capabilities, the legal capabilities, but also this consultant that we've hired, boy, it really makes a huge difference. And the ability to put yourself into a position where you're not always indexing to a single expert, the ability to actually capture the input of multiple experts to make smart business decisions in navigating the environment, I found that to be probably the most valuable mechanism that we've been able to build for ourselves. And what I would sincerely, even if you don't have any internal resources, I would suggest to anybody to try and get yourself 2 resources, meaning go out and get a strong legal firm, a great law firm that has experience in this. Try to find yourself a law firm that's got a little bit of cowboy integrity, right? Look for that, because there's plenty of firms out there that'll just tell you it can't be done. Sure. Or they won't make any promises, right? Hey, we're not going to make any promises. We're going to go through this process over the next 18 months, but we're not making any promises on anything. Find somebody that's got a little swagger to them, that has some good experience, and from a law firm perspective, and that has that attitude of, hey, we're come hell or high water, we're going to get this done. And here's several challenging pieces of IP that we've worked on in the past. Go talk to them, do that investigation. But I find that be a great, I think that that's important in the startup realm, to find that cowboy integrity in your law firm or the legal team that you're using for patenting. The second thing I would do is go get yourself someone who can advise. There are advisors out there who've executed lots of patents before. There are plenty of companies out there that have just entire patent verticals to their companies. And these patent experts, these patent liaisons or patent consultants, they're fantastic. And what they can do is actually help you get some of the heavy lifting out of the way. Basically, you pay them to put together your patenting package, right? And you're doing so, number one, at a discounted rate from your legal team, but you're also doing it you're putting together the patenting package that your legal team will then submit to the patent office, US patent office. You're going to have them to put together that patent package, but then you get those two groups of experts, both in that consultant and in the law firm, that are both acting in the best interests of your company, of your IP. And it can get you, there were several moments where we had to make some strong decisions, or some smart decisions, but we were able to weigh out the pros and cons and the advice of both parties, even though those didn't always align. But that's kind of what you want, right? That's how you know you're actually, that's how I shouldn't say how everybody would know, but that's the mechanism I like to use to try to figure out if we're on the right path or not, and actually have out smart debates, and then it puts you in the position of just asking lots of smart questions. And heck, as a founder and somebody that's going to be running a company and running teams of individuals, you're probably an individual that likes to be well informed and have options from experts anyways. So, that's the advice that I have for anybody that wants to go down that path.
It's really insightful, and I love how you frame, it's this idea, and I think the BI tool is a great compliment. It's like, really, what's the use case? Do you want to use this as a defensive play, or who am I selling to, and do I have to take any precautions to make sure that I protect the company?
Yeah, and to that end, just bridging that, also talking about it from the investor perspective.
Yeah.
Look, you can't get investors to sign NDAs. They're just not going to do it, and you're going to talk to lots of them, right? But you're going to have to do so, and you got to give them a real good look at what it is that you're doing for them to even get comfortable in making a decision to invest in your company or pass, right? And what's today's, what is it, like a 5% hit rate, maybe on a good day, right? For speaking with investors and then actually getting them to invest in your company. Now, the patent in this scenario is what unlocked our ability to actually speak with them in an unguarded manner and actually give them some rich context as to what it is our company's doing and what they'd be investing in. So it really freed us up there on that front as well, right? So just wanted to share that just as a yes, you're correct, and it also helped us on the investment front too.
So if we can unpack the investor front, we'd love to know what your experience was in raising outside capital.
Yeah. So it was clunky. It was clunky at first, to be quite frank. I had never raised capital before. It's the first time I've ever gone down this path. It's kind of funny. The first couple times on stage, boy, actually, I wish I recorded a few of those conversations just for the fun of sharing them on LinkedIn with people, because they were pretty comical. It wasn't the investors by any means. It was a really poor pitch execution on my part. But I learned a ton, right? I learned a ton. It reminded me of doing my very first presentation projects back when I was like in the 4th grade in front of the class, right? And boy, I was nervous as heck. The very, very first pitch, one of the fun moments that I look back on, the very first pitch, one of my co-founders was in it with me, and we got off of the call. I think I was sweating bullets and missing key points. I was nervous as heck, and got off that call and immediately hopped into another VC to discuss or to do a little debrief with my co-founder. And we logged in, and I was even scared to start that conversation. He looks at me, and all he said was, swing and a miss. And we look back on that, we chuckle pretty hard at it, but it's become a bit of a battle cry for us in other realms. But the reality is, it took me a while to find my legs in the investor realm. And I'm not, I don't say this to scare anybody off of it, but I think that people should get comfortable understanding that it's hard. And I think that everybody goes into these, especially if you've never done it before. It's hard to not, it's hard to not be, it's hard to not look new. It's really hard to showcase some of it. And quite frankly, you know what, just resign yourself to the fact that I once heard somebody I really trust. They shared, hey, look, you know, you're going to pitch anywhere between like 120 and 150 times. Like, you know, and you're not going to get good at it until you're like halfway there. And I think that that's pretty accurate. And I definitely didn't even start to really find my rhythm until like I got like 30, 35 of them under my belt. And that sounds intimidating to a lot of people, but you're not earning your right. You're not going to understand how they think until you go through these. You know, you're not going to you could have the best advisors on the planet. Maybe you could even bring them in on those pitches and stuff. But the reality is, uh, I think that it's fair to say that they're not assessing the idea or the business as much as they're assessing the founder that's pitching it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially at a pre-seed and seed stage. Couldn't agree more. And I think the flip side of that, and it's been a reoccurring theme on the podcast, is just this idea that investors have certain profiles of companies that they're looking for, and so you shouldn't take it personally if it's not a fit. As much as we want to make sure that the investors we bring on a cap table, we aligned culturally on vision. They also have to set expectations with their own investors. So I mean, makes great sense.
Yeah. The reality is the faster you get to a decision or the faster you get there, the better off you actually are. If you find yourself, what I found is that if I find myself walking away from a conversation, not sure if they're in or out on that very first conversation, I didn't do a good job in asking them or driving that clarity. And quite frankly, don't let them, it's important to hold them accountable to that time. We're both donating our time to this discussion, holding them accountable to provide you some real feedback, even in the moment. If you can do it, you're better off pushing yourself to do it and learning how to do that early on. It'll pay dividends later in later conversations.
You just said it too. I mean, my sense is a lot of time people don't know to ask, hey, what'd you think? Or, if we're not a fit, how come? Or what needs to change in order for us to potentially, revisit this conversation in the coming quarters. Totally reasonable. And I think it also just kind of comes to this idea that, yes, sure, investors represent capital, but it's also a relationship. As you point out, they're investing as much as the team as they are the product. And so, it's a longer game as much as any founder wants capital immediately, because, you want to execute on the strategy. But I think all great points. So we have a big milestone coming up. You're going to market. I would love to hear, how you and your founders are, without revealing any trade secrets or secret sauce. How are you guys thinking about go to market?
Yeah, and quite frankly, hoping that this podcast even lands in the laps of some folks that may be interested, right? So, as far as go to market is concerned, today we're leveraging our networks, right? So, we've spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, a lot of time in big tech, and in doing so, you get to work with a lot of folks, and as their careers grow and they branch out, going to different companies and achieving new levels in different companies, we've actually got a lot of breadth to cover there in our own professional network in that realm. So we're working that right now from a go-to-market strategy, right? This product, right? This product is very attractive, or more attractive, easier to sell from a top-down perspective today. It's new tech. It's brand new tech that, so nobody is an expert leveraging this tech yet. And there's a lot of experts out there that are pretty comfortable. There's a lot of experts out there that are pretty comfortable with the existing or legacy technologies in the infrastructure software space.
Okay.
And they're making six-figure salaries. They probably have $1 million equity packages that they're waiting to mature, and they're not looking to, they've got it all figured out. They're not looking to rock the boat too much. When product asks for more compute, they go ahead and build out that infrastructure software layer using the Legos that they currently have, right?
Sure.
To build that out. So they're not incentivized, they're disincentivized to introduce some new tech into their space. So we go top down right now, and we start working at those executive decision maker levels, and we highlight the capabilities that we can provide them on the productivity front, and we also pair that with the impact that we can have on that infrastructure cost center. And when we sell that direction, then you get that top down directive to the leadership players in the infrastructure level. Hey, look at this product, give it a shot, see what it is that we can do, because these guys are making some pretty bold claims. Let's see what's going on there. And then they get that directive, and then they have to do it. They'll have to execute with your tech at that point, and that's how we get in. However, we also find that it's really important to continue selling the product even once you land, like sell past the land, right? So then it's about educating those experts that we're now working with, those people that may not have let us in to the beginning, at the beginning. Now we're working arm in arm with them, and we're selling the capabilities of the product, but we're also selling what we're doing for them in their careers. We're highlighting them. They are now one of one. Their own market cap in this realm is going to go up with the proliferation of our technology throughout the infrastructure space, the broader infrastructure market. So what we attempt to do is really continue to manage those relationships. Those people, we live and die by the investment of those folks into our technology, and we want to continue to highlight the benefits and the ease of using our product in those environments, and how much we're doing for them and their capabilities and their careers moving forward. So it's a top-down initial penetration is top-down for us, but then once we're in, it's about reselling that entire group day in and day out all the time, as we go to land that product and show them the real gains.
Fantastic. Did I recall correctly, 2 other co-founders?
You're correct. So Justin Gelinas he's a post-exit founder. He's founded another tech company in his past, and built that up over 9 years, and successful with a real successful exit there. So blessed to have him on the team. And then the other co-founder is our CTO, whom I had the privilege of working with. We both worked together in the infrastructure and IT space over at Facebook, where he then moved on to the product side of the house. Then we worked together again at Snapchat, where he had exposure into the product side as well. And then he had moved on to working infrastructure leadership roles in the engineering sector for both Google, and then led AI ML over for Disney. So I've got a great pair of co-founders that I get to work with every day. They're definitely my guiding light through all of this, and certainly they execute lion's share of the work for the success of OpnBook. And then to balance that out, we've got another 5 employees. We've got 1 brand and marketing expert, and then the balance of our other 4 employees are all developers working on different sectors of our product. And again, we're just blessed to have them. It's been fantastic. So
Fantastic. Todd, it's been a great podcast. One of the questions that I love to wrap up with is, if you have an opportunity to go back and have a conversation with your younger self, what would you share?
I would share, if I had the opportunity to go back and speak with my younger self, I would share that there's a lot of hidden value in the ideas of you and your team, and don't be afraid of change, embrace change. And what you have to offer the business world is highly needed, and that have some grace for yourself. Do not overjudge yourself or prejudge yourself before you go to execute. Have some grace for yourself and know that you're going to make lots of mistakes, and leverage that American fortitude that's really unique to American founders, to U.S. based founders, and that is, hey, we don't fear failure. We just learn from it, and move forward.
Now that's brilliant. I love it. I mean, it sounds like we're in agreement that culturally we're at an advantage, that we're allowed to fail and going for it. 100% agree. Love it. Todd, if there are any of our listeners want to get a hold of you, how can they find you?
Yes. So you can actually email me directly, Todd@openbook.com, and we spell it OPNBOOK.com. You can also find us at openbook.com, the website. And you're also welcome to contact me via LinkedIn. I'm very active there as well. So love to hear from you. And if you have any interest in attacking that cost center or get more compute capabilities out of your existing environment, we want to talk to you, because the reality is that there's a lot of founders out there, especially in the AI space, that are strapped with some serious costs. And let's be real, every dollar counts in those founder days, especially early on. So if you're looking at getting some more out of your current computing stacks, we want to hear from you. We'll make it a deal for you. We'll make it real easy for you to try out our product and get moving. So looking forward to helping you out.
Fantastic. Well, Todd, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Really insightful podcast. Thank you. And again, for the benefit of our audience, Todd Smith, co-founder and CEO of OpnBook. This is another episode of the Innovators and Investors Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Kristian Marquez, founder and CEO of FinStrat Management. Thank you.
Kristian Marquez here. Thank you so much for listening to the Innovators and Investors Podcast. If you are a successful founder or an investor who would like to be on the podcast, please visit podcast.finstratmgmt.com. If you've got something out of this interview, please share this episode on social media. If you know someone that would be a great guest, please tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Innovators and Investors. I'd love to see your posts and suggestions. We're regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you catch each new episode, please subscribe to the Innovators and Investors Podcast. And your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show, and it means a lot to me and my team. Would you like to know more? Go to our website, finstratmgmt.com, or follow us on LinkedIn or on X. Our handle is @finstratmgmt. This is Kristian Marquez. Thank you for listening. Until next time.